Welcome to the Center Mid Philosopher. This episode is brought to you by Augustus Royale Fashion. Life's not black and white, it's gray, and gray is beautiful. Check out the brand below in the link. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this week's episode of the Center Mid Philosopher. I'm here with the Mashy P mob, although we're missing a few, Matt Stanlin and Spencer. You're with us in spirit. This week's episode is sponsored by Morissette Media. Great place to take your podcast streams into reality. They also do a number of incredible marketing and web-based services, so check them out. Follow, subscribe. We've got Zack Poston, our producer, with us, and we got Caleb Hatcher as well. And welcome, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So let's just dive right on in. Jurgen Klopp leaving Liverpool. What the hell? Caleb, I mean, what happened? Why? I keep hearing like he really is truly exhausted, but like, damn, that's really exhausted. Because, Liverpool has never looked better. I mean, not never, but they're looking as good as they've ever looked. And not that I'm reaching for conspiracy theories, but do you have any, is there something weird going on here? And furthermore, will he coach again and where?
Yeah, so first off, I do think it is just exhaustion. And in some of the interviews, he's come out and kind of said like he wants to just live like a normal person or at least try to live like a normal person. So I do think he'll take a year, and I do believe that he'll be back somewhere. Mm-hmm. He said in his Liverpool video that he'd never come back to England for anybody else other than Liverpool. I think some things can change there, but I do think he comes back. I would love to see him in the international game. Sure. I also at the same time don't know if his style of play fits the international game. You have limited time with your players to get that pressing and counterattacking football, into your team. But I do think he'll take a year off, and Pep even said that the same. He'll take a year off and he'll miss it and immediately want to come back. Where I think is, massive question. I don't know if I have a great answer for that.
Well, and so what are some of the ramifications to him leaving? I mean, you probably know more than I do, but I know it's put a bit of a pause on Van Dijk re-signing. I mean, I'm sure he will, but it's just, it's kind of gotten everyone a little frazzled. Like, what are some of the other ramifications of this massive announcement?
Yeah, I think there are quite a few ramifications. Van Dijk, I do think Van Dijk's kind of walked back. I know he had an interview where he said something. He's kind of walked back what he said there. But I mean, in the transfer window in general, they really can't do much. They also don't have a sporting director at the moment, so they're still looking for candidates there. So really in the transfer market, they're just completely not probably going to purchase anybody until they at least have a sporting director and figure out where they're going to go. Player-wise, I mean, I still think I was reading an article about Trent. I think that's their top priority to get him on a long-term deal. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping, the core Van Dijk, Trent, Salah maybe. I mean, there's always the rumors of him going to Saudi Arabia, but I think Trent and Van Dijk should be, the focuses of Liverpool to keep them there no matter who the manager ends up being.
Maybe Szoboszlai as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
McAllister.
Our boy Nunez, Mr. hot and cold man,
Mr. Woodward.
Yeah, but no, but I tell you, he's still a lot of people will say he's still one of the most important players in the EPL.
Yeah.
So I mean, who's going to replace him? Is it Alonso?
I mean, I would love it to be. We were actually Zack and one of our buddies sent us a podcast on a Bundesliga podcast. They were talking about Xabi Alonso and how they felt he wasn't a great fit for Liverpool. Their reasoning was kind of the players that are already at Liverpool maybe don't fit Xabi Alonso's style. Mm-hmm. He's more of a Pep type, long build up as opposed to Jurgen Klopp. You press, you get the ball, quick counterattacks. I still think, if he got with this Liverpool team. I think he could figure it out. And there are some still very, very talented players on this roster. That being said, I think some of the other names thrown out there, De Serbi at Brighton has been thrown out there. I think he'd be a fun one. I do think he's gonna want a bigger gig sometime soon with all he's done with that team, and bringing in young talent there. Yeah. Those are the two names that I would probably lean towards. I mean, Stevie G's also out there.
Yeah, Stevie G. He re-inked in Saudi Arabia, right, or something. But then other names, I'm sure you could get out, names that have thrown around, Nagelsmann, although their timing's probably not going to be right there.
Right.
I've heard a long shot being Thomas Frank from Brentford, actually.
Yeah.
Similar type. But, Xabi Alonso is the most, I mean, that's the one that makes the most sense. But, like, to your point.
For sure.
So 21st groups metrics actually matched him as only a 63% match. Because, as we all know, Liverpool has thrived on Klopp's heavy metal football and vertical chaos.
Yeah.
Whereas Leverkusen ranks in the bottom 10 of all teams in Europe for the percentage of their passes that go forward and at the speed at which they move. So to your point, it's a very different style.
Well,
right.
My question is, would he even want that move? And that's no disrespect to Liverpool at all, but with the project that he has going at Leverkusen, following Klopp, maybe the squad doesn't match up, identity-wise, how he likes to play. I think, something to consider is, is he the next one? Not the one that will follow Klopp, but maybe the one after. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of the year.
Go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think I do feel like Xabi Alonso's dream job is probably Real. But I do think he would. I think Liverpool could be a stepping stone to Real.
Absolutely. Another odd name I've seen pop up is Zidane, actually. I mean, I doubt it, but I mean, it's an interesting one.
I'd be so upset, but neither here nor there.
Where do you think the Liverpool job? So what's just been really interesting is you've had this tectonic shift of like Mourinho and Xavi from Barcelona and Klopp and it's made me think, man, like there's some big time, like. Where would you put the Liverpool coaching job? Like, where would you rank that as all-time best jobs in global soccer coaching? And I would also just make a sidebar comment that I think Klopp has kind of reestablished that job as back in probably top 10, right?
Yeah.
I mean, where would you put it, Caleb?
Yeah, I mean,
I know you're biased, but
number one. Yeah, agreed. I'd probably put it top 5, but I think that's a great point that you said there. I mean, if you think about before Klopp, his first starting 11s has been, shown on social media recently. You have Origi up top, Moreno in the back, and he really changed this team. I mean, we had Roy Hodgson as the coach there, Brendan Rodgers. So I think it's a top 5 gig where Liverpool are today. I think the talent you have, he immensely increased the talent they have now from when he started. And then you also think about the youth academy that's bringing in players like Connor Bradley. I'm forgetting Bobby Clark's also played some minutes this year. So I think it's a top 5 job, especially when you look at something like, we'll probably get to later, but one of the jobs that I think everybody wants or wanted previously, something like Barca, isn't as enticing as it used to be. So I'd say it's probably around top 5.
I think it's like, even to like the biggest Liverpool hater, I think there's no way that anyone can say that Klopp hasn't made it back into a tier A job.
Right.
Yeah.
Whether it's 5 or 4 or 6 or whatever it is, like I think very clear it's a A-class job. And it'll be interesting to see who they bring in after him.
Well, and interestingly, juxtaposing that exactly is I feel like Xavi has done the opposite a little bit. I mean, I guess which is a bigger job, Barcelona or Liverpool? I mean, I just have to say 10 years ago, Barcelona was the job.
Yeah.
The club. I mean, that was number one, probably the number one soccer brand in the world. At the time, I mean, there was a time where it felt like, is anyone ever going to beat these guys? I mean, it was getting old actually for a while there. But now, just some years later, I don't know that. I mean, I feel like the Liverpool job might be a little more compelling right now than a Barcelona job. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think global brand-wise, Barca's still there, right?
Yeah.
But the way the club is set up right now with some of the financial issues, I just don't find it super enticing for some of these coaches as it used to be. Mm-hmm. Especially when you look at something like Liverpool, where they don't have those financial issues. And Klopp's been there for quite a few years now. You can kind of make it your own. I think I would prefer Liverpool just based on some of those financial issues.
Well, and it's just Barcelona is in a lot. I mean, their financial troubles. Their front office is a bit of a mess. They sold off a lot of their future revenue to acquire the likes of Lewandowski. They're just a little bit more, but the brand, as you said, is still.
Yeah, it's still there.
I mean, it's a top 3 brand, if not top 2.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think the top 2 brands are Real Madrid, Barcelona. I mean,
definitely.
But then, I do kind of. We'll come back to Barcelona, but I want to get you guys' thoughts on the Gio Reyna move to Nottingham Forest. What would you get? What grade would you give that transfer?
Let me get that one first. So it's a little hard to put a grade on it. I do know one thing. I cannot wait to see Gibbs White and Reyna play off each other. Like, I know it's like somewhat of a similar profile of player, but if they can get on the field at the same time, just from an entertainment standpoint, I mean, that is going to be absolute box office. I can't wait to see. Again, I don't know if they both fit in together, but if they can somehow manage that, I mean, those are 2 of the most dynamic players playing at a relatively small club for Premier League standards.
Yeah, I mean,
let's give it a B. I give it a B. How about that?
Yeah,
to put a grade on it.
I give it a C, but I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I hope like the upside could be huge, but I just feel like we've talked about Reyna a lot on this show. And I think we're all in agreement that, like, he is. I mean, him and Pulisic and Weah, McKinney, and Musa, Adams. That's kind of the core of the team, and he's such a critical player that needs to get playing time. And I know Nottingham Forest is a lower tier. I mean, maybe this is the perfect fit, but the names that were being mentioned, I sort of felt like, oh, this would be perfect, like a Fiorentina, Marseille, Sevilla, Real Sociedad. I just feel like if he doesn't get this right, it could be then you're 2 moves away from welcome back to the Philadelphia Union. Not that I'm dogging on MLS at all, but he's one that we really need to. But maybe I'm wrong, and it'll end up getting 7-8 goals in the second half of this season, and everyone, then the likes of Man U will want him or something.
What scares me is, like, I think everyone's initial reaction as an American soccer fan wasn't like a resounding "let's go," right? It was. I don't want to say but Nottingham buys so many players, and I just hope he doesn't get lost in the shuffle of that. Caleb, what do you think?
I personally like it for Reyna. I mean, it is a loan deal. I watch the Premier League more than any other league, so I am excited as well to see him in the Premier League. Mm-hmm. He should get more playing time, I would think, at a place like Nottingham Forest than some of those other teams you mentioned. It is a loan, so if it doesn't work out, obviously he goes back to Dortmund, probably gets sold elsewhere. It does feel like kind of what you were saying there, Matt, though. I mean, if he goes out there and doesn't look great, hopefully we don't have to get to that bridge, but it could be a deal where he's going to have to take a step down to a lower league to prove himself again.
What you don't want him is like his next move being like
like championship or
exactly, or like Celta Vigo or like some Spanish team that's not, in that top 3. But I just excited to see him play. I just want to see him play.
It could be huge. I mean, the upside is really big, but it's just, I guess I'm just saying it's riskier. If he doesn't, the stakes are higher, and there's a lot more eyeballs. Like I guess part of me kind of liked the idea of him just sort of quietly toiling away at like a Marseille or Fiorentina with not as many eyeballs, but like, hey, he's starting 80% of the matches and is doing well, and you know what I mean? It's getting regular playing time. Now it's like EPL. It's like, I mean, all of America that watches soccer will be watching you now. Like, are you going to do it or not? And he's had a lot of eyeballs on him for the last 24 months as is. I just wonder why they were like, yeah, that one, as opposed to the others. There just has to, I can't wait. I hope more comes out about like the dynamics of that decision, because I just really wish I knew what was said in some of these, what he was being pitched from some of these teams. But man, Gio, we're rooting for you hard, bud. We want it to work. So Man City is quietly behind 25 doors of secrecy, undergoing their FFP breaches. Maybe, like, have you guys followed this at all? Like, it's just been veiled in secrecy. Do you guys know anything about what's going on there? I don't think anyone really does, but I just didn't know if you guys have been following that at all.
Innocent.
I haven't followed it.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, Zack's just keeping his eyes blindfolded.
It's see
no evil.
It's so scary. Like when you see like Everton drop points and then maybe another deduction.
Yeah,
and I think Nottingham Forest was another team, and it's like those are like 1, 2, 3. Instances, and then you hear about like Man City is like 1,000. So it's like. You just kind of do one of those. I'll root for him in the championship if that's where we're at. But you're innocent until proven guilty, Matt. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I've just tried to. It's kind of like it's so in secret. It's like a 3-person panel. No one knows who's on it. They don't even know if they've actually started proceedings on it or not. Another thing is too interesting is like these allegations go back to 2009. No one on the team now was even on that team. That like, it's stuff that people hardly remember at this point. The only person is Scott Carson, third string goalkeeper that's still there from that time.
I'll tell you what, we'll sell him, and then like we'll just we'll just clean our hands and we just forget about it all.
Yeah, we'll just forget the whole thing.
How does that sound?
Yeah. So the other big thing going on, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Barcelona. We talked about them a little bit earlier, but Xavi's leaving. What's going on there? I mean, they're again the gold standard, the brand globally. They're really under tough times. What do you think's going on there? I mean, how much of it do you think is Xavi to blame? Do you have any thoughts on that, Caleb?
Yeah, I don't know if Xavi's to blame too much there. Kind of like we said earlier with their financial issues. I think it was kind of whoever walked into that job was going to have issues. Mm-hmm. It being Xavi, a club legend, I think a lot of folks thought, and they started playing better towards the beginning of this year, and they were still in the mix. But I think that was just a job that was going to be trouble for anybody. I don't think Xavi deserves. He certainly is not blameless, but I don't think he deserves all the blame there.
You know what it reminds me of? Like club legend, steward of the club, almost like a stopgap to get someone else. It kind of gives me like Frank Lampard, Chelsea vibes. Just we need you to just come on for a period, steer the ship, and then I don't think either of them wanted to fill that role. They wanted some more permanent role, but that's kind of what I liken it to is that steward of the club legend, get us through this period so we can kind of move forward. That's kind of how it framed up to me.
Well, and I read a really interesting article from ESPN very recently about how, so interestingly, they still rank number one in the balance between creating and conceiving chances. They're just not converting those chances. They're just not scoring goals. Lewandowski's just not scoring. I mean, that may have been not the best purchase. Their defense is kind of falling apart. I mean, they gave away 8 goals in 2 matches, which would have been preposterously unthinkable at one point in time. Sergio Busquets wasn't replaced. A lot of people are saying that's a big part of all this. Their injuries have been just unreal. I mean, Ter Stegen, Marcus Alonso, Rafinha, Xavi, Pedri, Sergi Roberto, and Frankie de Jong all decreased in the 20 to 30% playing time this year. Their front office is a dumpster fire. You know, we all kind of knew that was going to be the case. But you know, some people have alleged some conflicting butting of heads between Deco and Xavi over player acquisitions. But you know, reasons for optimism. They do have they have one of the youngest teams out there. I mean, Lamine Yamal is one of the best players in Europe right now at 16. They just started Pau Kubarsi at center back, another 16-year-old. I love Fermin Lopez, great player. And who's to say? Maybe they make a run in the Champions League. You know, I mean, it could happen. Any thoughts on who might replace him as a coach?
I
don't have many. I know Zack wants to get Jose Mourinho in there, but
wouldn't that be just solely from an entertainment standpoint, with the current climate of the club, the construction of the team? Again, I don't know if it would work, but just from sheer box office, I think that would be freaking.
Well, it would be unbelievable if it worked, but it could set him back 10 years if it didn't.
Most definitely.
Know, and his style of play is so not what Barcelona is now.
Not Barcelona,
you know, which is interesting because that's where he came from, but that's where he started. But yeah, that'll be interesting. Rafa Marquez, Thiago Motta are named, but I don't know. I mean, Michel's another, but I don't know who they're going to get.
Is Barcelona even hunting big name coaches anymore? Like you hear a lot of the names rumored, and you know, obviously Xavi, didn't have the robust coaching history. I wonder if they're even big fish hunting or fishing for the coach. I wonder if that's even in their in their cards in their current.
What if it ended up being Klopp? I'm kidding, kind of not.
I think the Serbian could be a name to watch there as well.
Oh yeah, that could be.
Yeah, he can. His style of play kind of fits the Barcelona brand.
That might be it, actually. And Caleb, I know you got to rock and roll here in a second, but any thoughts on the AFCON? I don't know if you followed that at all.
Haven't followed it a whole lot. I mean, I'm obviously keeping up with the scores and whatnot. And my 2 favorites, I mean, would have been Egypt and then Salah, obviously getting injured and then them crashing out, I believe in the round of 16 in PKs, was rough. And then I also, if I had to put my money on a second team, it probably would have been Senegal, who's also out of the tournament. It's actually quite fun. Like even looking at the quarterfinals here, like there are a lot of teams that, I'm not super familiar with. Like I think Nigeria and Angola are playing right now. So not too many thoughts for me, but I think it's fun how wide open it is, and seeing some new teams in there.
I have a story, not story, but something I was following. Onana getting benched. I mean, you talk about kicking a man while he's down.
Yeah.
Like you would think. I know there's a little controversy if he would go or not. He wanted to. Maybe the club had different ideas, but as the club, you think you release him, maybe get some confidence, maybe they win the tournament. But it's gone the exact opposite direction to kind of re-jolt his career. So him getting benched on the international level, I think that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's been some cool players emerging. Nigeria, as you mentioned, has Osimhen, but Ademola Lookman has become a star.
Yeah,
and from Atalanta, and yeah, like you said, it's just almost all the favorites are gone. I mean, Nigeria's probably the only one left that was kind of mentioned in that group. But no, it's just been really cool, and I appreciate you guys sharing some on there. And Caleb, I know you got to run, but I would say one interesting development in the EPL is the INEOS 25% stake in Manchester United, which we were wondering whether that would be impactful or not. But early signs are that it will be, because they just stole your man Omar Berreda from Man City. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're making moves in their front office.
You see the Pep conference once that happened. He was basically like, "Oh, good luck." I just thought it was funny, his reaction. I mean, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't imagine he'd sit there and cry about it in front of all the reporters. But yeah, interesting, man. We'll see if they can turn it around. They need something.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be putting the pieces together. I'll be interested to see if that leads to player acquisitions soon. I mean, we'll see, but I think they need some folks.
I know he scored, but Rashford, fraud. We've been on that. Good guy, and can't show up because he's hungover. Yeah, that's real great stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, so I guess we're kind of winding down, but I would love to get you guys' perfect 11 right now, if you have one. Caleb, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Let me bring up the list I had here. So, I don't think it's too far off from what I had a few months back, but Alisson in goal, I still think he's the best goalie in the world. At left back, I have, we've been talking a lot about Xabi Alonso. I have Grimaldo.
Nice.
For Leverkusen. You watch him play and you look at some of the stats. I think he's got like 15 goals and assists combined in the Bundesliga, playing kind of a left back, like left wing back role. Mm-hmm. Super exciting to play there. Center back pairing, I have Van Dijk and Ruben Diaz. I think they're the best two center backs in the league and probably the world. I do have Trent on the right back spot. I know there's some people will talk about his defending, but I mean, he's second in the EPL with big chances created. I have Rodri as my CDM. I think he's the best midfielder in the world. Partnering him in the midfield, I have Odegaard, who I have kind of a newfound respect for him this year. I really just enjoy watching him play. Every time you watch Arsenal, he's super creative and attacking there. Everybody's favorite, Jude Bellingham, as well in the midfield. And then I have a front three of Mbappe, Kane, pretty self-explanatory. And then I think one of your favorites, Matt, I have Lautaro Martinez in there, who I was looking at some stats, and he's over 1 goal per 90. Super, super good season from him, and leading Serie A and with Inter.
Nice.
Yeah, there's my 11 there.
That's a good one. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, I didn't have an 11 prepared, so instead of regurgitating some of the players that Caleb named, I think Kevin De Bruyne slots in now. I mean, he's only had few appearances since after his injury, and has looked, top form. I wonder, I wonder maybe Saliba over Diaz. Again, not that Diaz has fallen off incredibly, but I think his performances have dipped a little bit. And then front three, no qualms for me. Caleb, I probably have the same three. And then I'd be lying to you if I was, analyzing goalkeeping play to a degree. But, you never can go wrong with Alisson. I'm still not sold on Ederson as far as, that number one spot. As far as best goalkeeper in the league, I think when he's been tested, every once in a while it gets a little shaky. But I'm excited, man. The league's in a great place. It's such an entertaining year. It's wide open. I could tell you 4 teams could win it, and it wouldn't be a shock to any of us. I'm just really excited to see how the back half of the season goes.
Yeah, so I'll give mine, and I try to pick different ones every week because, but yeah, third time's the charm. I'm going to go for Alisson in goal as well. Left back, I'm going Valentin Barco from Boca Juniors, now at Brighton. It'd be really cool to see how he does. Christian Romero at center back from Tottenham. I kind of hate him in a lot of ways, but maybe that means he's really good at being a center back because he's just a hatchet man. And he's either going to be in jail or on the pitch. So right back, Federico Gatti from Juventus. Interesting story. That guy was laying brick a couple years ago. I mean, he was working construction and just playing ball at night when he could, and so that's kind of a real success story. Star right back from Juventus. Defensive center mid, Tchouaméni from Real Madrid. He's been killing it. Garnacho, left mid, just really been killing it. Cole Palmer, right mid from Chelsea. Loftus-Cheek as attacking center mid. He's been on a tear for AC Milan. And then attacking kind of left winger in Vinny Jr. from Real Madrid, really been carrying the load for Real Madrid lately.
Yeah, workhorse.
Yeah. Then kind of a deep cut one here, Nikola Krstovic from Lecce. It's just an interesting story about him is that the genius GM Pantaleo Corvino from Lecce got him for like $3 million, and he's become this, he's probably going to sell him for 10x that. Then my striker, just AFCON man, Nigeria's Ademola Lookman, and from Atalanta, he's been killing it. Just had a brace against Cameroon, so that's my 11.
Scored again today.
Did he really? Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm on top of it.
There you go.
Well, cool, guys. Yeah. Thanks for joining, and Caleb, thanks for pitching in and dropping the Liverpool knowledge. And once again, this has been Mashy P Mob on the Center Mid Philosopher. I want to thank our sponsor again, More Set Media. Check them out, follow them, do a podcast with them, or any other marketing or video needs you may have. And for this show, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And thanks as always for joining. See you again, folks. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.